Great. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and everyone, and welcome to our informational session on the Data Gymnasium platform and open code and data tools. My name is Matt Grasser. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm the co-founder and co-director of the Cambridge SoupTech Lab. And I'm joined today by Meta Dobal, who's leading up our product management of our digital tools, and Abhishek Rana, who's a senior data scientist within the lab. I'll be providing a bit of necessary context for those of you who may be meeting us for the first time today. And then I'll turn things over to Meta for some details around the platform, followed by a live demo guided by Abhishek. Please feel free throughout today's conversation to share questions in the chat and Q&A features of Zoom. And we'll be sure to hold time at the end to do our best to address all the questions that you may have. So through the lab's first 2.5 years or so, over 100 financial authorities across 6 continents have leveraged our offering to champion the adoption of advanced SoupTech solutions that tackle critical supervisory challenges. Authorities have learned about the latest trends and developments from our State of SoupTech report, from our case studies, and other research and intelligence publications. They've experienced the process of SoupTech innovation, building strategies, roadmaps, and proofs of concept through our capacity building and education programs, as well as our technical assistance offerings. And they have built software applications leveraging our application incubation facility, scaling SoupTech solutions from concept through to implementation. So throughout these activities and our annual State of SoupTech survey, these same authorities, along with 110 agencies, additional agencies, have shared with us data and deep insights around their approaches, successes, and lessons learned as well. Our last 2 years of such data have indicated a really distinct trend in how financial authorities view SoupTech adoption, not as an event, but as an incremental journey. So technologies currently used by financial supervisors here in the gold on the right here, mostly fall into early stage generations of SoupTech and mainly support data collection technologies like web portals and basic reporting and dashboards through descriptive analytics and static reports. However, most desired supervisory technologies, shown here in kind of turquoise at the left here, or teal, are later generation, more advanced technologies like advanced text processing, generative AI, more advanced business intelligence solutions, which indicate authorities' desire to upgrade existing solutions from the earlier stage to the later stage and compose more robust systems by introducing additional, more advanced SoupTech solutions. So we can also put these results in context using our SoupTech generations framework, which explicitly maps this incremental journey for SoupTech adoption across those generations, ranging from analog and really manual on the left side of the framework to more digital and automated processes on the right side of the framework. And we can do this across all layers of the tech stack that are used by authorities, ranging from data collection through storage, all the way to analytics and data products. So translating the results of what authorities have versus want into this framework, as a community, we're here in the gray part of the SoupTech generations framework, and we really want to advance to this gold part. So why aren't we already there? Well, looking at the data that we have on top challenges for authorities, we can then extract the top 3 general challenges that include training on tech and design, funding for resourcing and development of applications, SoupTech applications. And then we see actually technical assistance and importantly, digital tools for diagnosing, building a roadmap, and building SoupTech solutions as a major challenge for financial authorities globally. While we offer support for each of these challenges through our capacity building and launchpad and application incubation facilities, today we'll really explore the last one, the tools and the need for tools to inform the supervisory innovation process. We'll explore that a bit more deeply today. To meet those expressed needs of supervisors and realize scaled impact, the journey to SoupTech adoption must be underpinned by digital platforms to guide the process and also provide deep insights along the way. So to that end, the lab has built over the last 2.5 years a set of highly complementary and mutually reinforcing digital tools to empower financial authorities by accelerating the design, development, and procurement of SoupTech applications and the elaboration of SoupTech strategies and roadmaps. So namely, we've built intelligence platforms to aid in why to innovate by providing the latest SoupTech market research and insights through the solutions tracker, which tracks SoupTech apps in the marketplace, vendor database, and other open resources like our library of SoupTech related publications and more. Complementing that, our platform-driven diagnostic and design tool aids in where to innovate and how to innovate by translating an evaluation on infrastructure, processes, and technical capabilities into a SoupTech strategy and prioritized roadmap. And our integrated digital design platforms allow for supervisor-centered approaches to designing SoupTech. And finally, our collaborative development platforms like the Data Gymnasium focus on validating what to innovate, which we'll get into today. As a quick aside, before I turn this over to Meta, we're in the process of formally consolidating our 8 digital tools in these 3 categories into a unified super platform, which will allow us to more seamlessly offer tailored support of the journey that supervisors take in addressing supervisory challenges. So we'll be providing updates throughout the rest of the year on this. And Meta will share some insights at the end of this session about how you can stay up to date with our progress on these tools. So with that context and with all of that said, welcome again, and I'll turn it over to Meta to take us through the Data Gymnasium, Open Data Library, and Open Code Repository. Over to you, Meta.
Thank you, Matt. So we'll quickly walk you all through the 3 new tools that we are here to discuss. The first one is Data Gymnasium. Matt, can we move to the next screen, please?
Sorry, Meta, I'm seeing the Data Gymnasium slide on my screen.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So this is Data Gymnasium. It's basically a secure platform for data sharing, experimentation, and vetting of models to accelerate the SoupTech development and implementation for financial supervisors. The pain point that we are trying to address through this platform is the limitations that siloed sandbox products that exist in the market have when it comes to collaboration between agencies or continuous collaboration between agencies and solution providers. Therefore, this tool is jurisdiction agnostic. It is access controlled and therefore completely secure. We've paid attention to collaboration feature on this platform. And the third one is that it's stacked with data resources, which are ever growing as we progress. We wanted to check the value proposition, and for that, we reached out to select financial authority members, expose the tool to them, and then seek their feedback. Out of the respondents, 95% believe that this platform is beneficial in their daily works. Currently, we have 90 plus registered users on the platform, and the representation is from over 20 agencies. To point out, this validation exercise was conducted in collaboration with a third-party vendor, Naya One, with whom we've had a relationship for the past 6 months to this point, and hopefully it will continue. Moving on to the next one is Open Data Library. This is basically a curation of public APIs and raw data sets that are relevant to financial supervision use cases. We are hoping that it expands the collective access to richer data sets. The pain point we are trying to address through this tool is the high cost and the access time when it comes to data acquisition, which is crucial when we are building data products. And therefore, this tool is open to global community. It comes with data resources, which are again growing as we go, and it's maintained by a team of researchers here at the lab. We wanted to check the value proposition again with the users, and for that, we exposed the tools to select financial authority members. We seek the feedback, and 95% of those respondents believe that it will be beneficial in their work. And over 90% believe that the tool incentivizes further data sharing between the parties. To this point, the tool has been exposed to 70 active users. Moving on to the next tool, this is Open Code Repository. It is basically a curation of non-proprietary codes used by financial authorities in SoupTech development. What we're trying to do here is address the pain point of high time and cost that goes into development of soup tech product. We are hoping that through this tool, we are able to promote interagency learnings, provide access to larger code resources, and help you save time when it comes to development of the tools. We check the value proposition of this tool with select financial authority members again, seek their feedback. Out of the respondents, 95% believe that the tool will be beneficial in their daily work, and over 90% believe that it will help with the cost reduction. To this point, we have exposed the tool to 70 financial authority members. Moving on to the next slide. At this point, we would like to bring your attention to the fact that these tools are also following the taxonomy. Everything we do at the lab follows three verticals of taxonomy: supervision area, supervisory use case, and technical capabilities. That allows us to map and find out richer insights on the market by leveraging everything that we do across the lab. So the new tools are also built on top of the same taxonomy, as you will see when Abhishek gives you a demo. Moving on to the next one. We want to go into the demo very, very soon. But as you do that, when we walk through each of the tool, we want you to think along three lines. One is, how can the tool be beneficial in your work? Two, how should we enrich the underlying data? And three, how is it that you would like to get involved? We'll give you the ways to do that towards the end of the session. And so please keep an eye out for that one. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Mela. Let me share my screen. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. I'll take that as a yes. Thank you, Matt. So firstly, how do you access these digital tools, right? So the first thing you can do is on the lab's website, you'll be able to go to the digital tools homepage. As Matt mentioned, we currently have 8 digital tools. And today we'll be discussing and presenting the 3 new ones, which are Open Data, Open Code, and the Data Gymnasium. So by expanding the Data Gymnasium here, you will be able to click this icon, and you'll first have to set up a username and password to register, after which you can then log into the platform, and it'll basically take you to the home or landing page. So what is the Gymnasium, right? As Meta mentioned, the Gymnasium is basically a secure and collaborative platform where supervisors and financial authorities can develop, test, validate different data models and solutions. Now, as Meta mentioned, it's taxonomy based. So the supervisory areas are broken down or demarcated into different subtech categories. So for example, if we look at consumer protection, you'll see a brief description of the supervisory area. You'll see the number of distinct use cases that fall under it according to our taxonomy. And because we already have users in place, you'll be able to see the number of open projects users are working on and the total number of team members. So for example, if I click on consumer protection here, I can then look at each of the different use cases, how many projects there are under them, and who the participants are. So for example, if you look under complaints analysis and I click on this icon, I get an overview of the use case, the different projects that are currently open under them, and I can request to join a project if I want to collaborate with a different team, or if I have already got team members on the platform who are working on a project, I can join or request to join here. You can also see who the participants are for this particular supervisory area and use case, and also the mentors and resources, if any. Now, the next step you might want to take is to create your own project, to which you'll navigate to the project tab. Under this tab, you can also see a view of all the current projects that are on the platform by supervisory area and use case. And you can also see the current projects that you have. Now, in order to create a new project, there are 4 mandatory fields. One is you have to pick a supervisory area. So I'm going to do consumer protection, let's say, or consumer protection, and then a use case. So let's say complaints analysis, the same example I was showing under the Home tab. After doing this, the only two other mandatory fields are to create a project title and then a description. You can also invite other members onto the platform. From this particular window, they'll have to have already been registered, but there's a way to invite people via email to register for the Gymnasium platform and have them automatically added to the project, which I will demonstrate after we've created this project. But you can invite members who are already on the platform. You can tag specific technologies or data sets you're working on, upload an image. These are optional. These are the only 4 required fields, and then you can create your project. Now, once you've created your project, it'll take you to this window, and the settings tab is basically where you can control who has access to your project. So you can add a demo link. You can add new users. So if I click on this, I can add a new user. If they're already on the platform, I can just automatically add them. If they're not currently registered, it will send a registration link via email. And once they sign up, they'll be automatically added to the project that you've created. You can also define roles. So currently we have team leads and team members, and upload an image here as well. Now here you have access control options where you can control who can view the project. So anyone or invited users only. You can hide certain sections. And you can also control access to the project. So is the project open? Can everyone who has registered on the platform access your project? Is it approval required or by invite only? And finally, if at some point you're done, you have the option to delete the project. Under participants, you can see who the participants are for your current project. You can upload any new documentation that might be pertinent to what the project is about. Under Showcase, you can add instructional videos or intros or introductions. And finally, we have the sandpits option. So there are 2 sandpit options. The first one is a personal sandpit. So this will basically launch a externally hosted Jupyter development environment where you can develop code, upload data sources, validate models that you're developing against data sets, etc. It's worth mentioning that the personal one, even if the team has 5 members, the personal one will only be accessible to each member independently. So the first step to launching the sandpit is to click on this link, which will launch a Jupyter Hub environment. And then if you want to collaborate, right? So this is personal. So if you have 5 members of your team, the environment that you'll be working on is independent for each of the members. If you want to collaborate and work together, then you can click on this option and launch a collaborative data sandpit. And under the collaborative data sandpit, it works the same as your personal sandpit, except everyone who is in the team can access it and work on code together. And we also have the chat option here, where you can create basically private channels for your projects. And while you're working, while you're working on the projects together, you can share information, etc., by creating a private or public channel. So once you've launched your sandpit, it'll basically take you to a Jupyter Lab, externally hosted Jupyter Lab environment. Currently, it comes with 8 different notebooks already preloaded, which we've developed here in the lab. So for example, under consumer protection and complaints analysis, we have 2 notebooks here with explanation about them, with code, with data already loaded, that basically explains how you can train machine learning models to classify complaints into different categories and then ship those complaints off for further resolution to the different departments. And again, under consumer complaints, we have a module here on sentiment analysis where you can look at social media data, for example, and use unsupervised learning to tag which of the posts are negative in nature for further analysis. So we have 8 different notebooks here already preloaded. You can, of course, create your own one in either Python, Julia, or R, the 3 supported languages. You can upload data that you want to work on and use, and you can make direct edits to the code or add text into the notebooks explaining what you're doing. And this is also another way of collaborating where you can add text into the notebooks themselves that explain to the other users, why you're implementing certain bits of code, or even add comments into the code directly. So this is all meant to be a collaborative environment or a personal environment where you can develop data solutions. Now, at this point, the next step, obviously, or the first step in the process is to create any data solution, you need data, right? And you need data to be able to train different models, test different models, and validate their efficacy. So that's where the open data library comes in. So the open data library, as Meda mentioned, consists of public APIs and raw data sets that you can use to develop, train, and test models. And it follows the same taxonomy as the Gymnasium and actually open code as well. So if you look under use cases here, you'll be able to see that, I was talking about consumer protection and complaints analysis. So I can go into consumer protection complaints analysis, and I can find data sets where I can, for example, in the first notebook here, we're trying to classify consumer complaints. I can find data to do that, or for sentiment analysis, for example. So under use case, this follows the same taxonomy as the data Gymnasium and open code. And the Gymnasium is the development environment. Open data is where you can get the data to develop. And similarly, open code also follows the same taxonomy. And in case you don't want to create models from scratch, or you want to see what is publicly available in the space to create different types of models, for example, for complaints analysis, you can go here under consumer protection and get open source code that you might want to use, modify, or edit to create your models and data solutions. Both open code and open data also have additional features. For example, you can search for open data under different formats. So those can be, direct API access or CSV files or PDF files, etc. And you can also search both open code and open data via technologies. So both open code and open data fit synchronously within the journey of, getting data, getting code, and developing and vetting a solution. Under Gymnasium, you can access open data through the data tab. We also have directly uploaded some subset of the data sets that are already part of open data. So instead of having to download it and upload it here onto Gymnasium, you can use a few lines of code here and directly access the data sets, load them, parse them using the Gymnasium. And similarly, under integrations, we have obviously open code, but we also have a selection of third-party APIs that you can integrate into your notebooks to directly access data that you're looking for via just, again, a few lines of code and an API key that's available for you. So under integrations, there's not only open code, but a set of third-party APIs which you can plug in directly into your notebooks on Gymnasium. So that's the end of my demo. I will stop sharing screen and hand it over to Mira.
Thanks, Abhishek. So at this point, there are 3 immediate action items for you all that we talked out. First is to explore the tools. As Abhishek mentioned, the tools are live on our websites. Please feel free to enter there, go under the digital tools section and get involved. Second is to fill out a questionnaire. Filling out this questionnaire indicates to us that you are interested in Gymnasium and other associated tools. It also gives us an insight about what you feel about the features of these tools. You will get a link to this questionnaire in the chat and also in an email following this session. third is joining our focus group. We are putting together a small group with members whom we want to help out directly in the journey of our digital tools, and we want to build only and only what you need. So by you getting involved in the focus group, you can let us know where we are faltering and where we are doing good and where we should go next. For this also, how to show your interest for the focus groups, there will be directions in the same email. Okay, thank you everybody. With this, we would open the floor for Q&A round.
Thank you so much, Meta and Abhishek. This has been great. I see one question here that's come through around integration with the other tools. So somebody noted that, there's 5 other tools and they heard about the super platform. Somebody's asking, how does this integrate with some of the other tools? I'm not sure if either of you want to jump in and answer that, and I can add some thoughts after.
I think, Matt, I'll quickly touch upon this one. So the older tools that exist at the moment are not automatically integrated into Gymnasium, open data and open code, but that is exactly what Matt was referring to when he was mentioning that we are trying to integrate all the tools together. That would be based on the taxonomy that we have across the lab. Everything that we do is built on top of that taxonomy. So that's the key to our work. Matt, to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that a few of the other tools that exist out there are the vendor database. So this is a database of understanding what vendors are in the marketplace that can help to build and prototype and take into production SoupTech solutions. We also have a solutions tracker, which looks at how peer financial authorities have developed solutions classified through that taxonomy that Meta presented earlier, to understand, maybe I don't need to build from scratch if I can learn lessons or build on successes of my colleagues in the global supervisory community. We have a SoupTech library that talks about publications that are related to how SoupTech and supervisory frameworks have been produced and released. And again, that's classified through the SoupTech taxonomy. And we have several other open tools as well. So yeah, as Meta mentioned, all of these will be more seamlessly linked through kind of recommended content, so that you don't have to manually filter through all of them to understand what's most relevant to you. And we'll be working on that throughout the rest of the year. Let's see. There's a question here from an anonymous participant. In case we don't find a relevant use case under the area we want, is there a process to include an additional use case? So, Abhishek, I don't know if you have thoughts on this. I can share some thoughts as well.
Ideally, we would like to think that our taxonomy has covered, after defining a supervisory area, all the use cases that are out there. But obviously, since it's a static framework, there definitely could be more use cases that we're missing or we've not defined yet. So the process here would be to get in touch with the lab and request for that use case to be added under a particular supervisory area. If it's a supervisory area we've not encountered, then the process would be the same. But it would be admin who has to vet whether the use case is actually distinct from that supervisory area or whether it should fall into a use case that already exists.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I would add to that is each year we run the annual State of SoupTech survey, which we started presenting at the very beginning of this session. It's where all of the information around the needs of supervisors and the desires of where they'd like to go came from. And each year when we put that survey out, we revisit the taxonomy to understand what's changed in the last year. Obviously, we're inhabiting a highly dynamic space. Risks and newly magnified risks are emerging every day in the financial marketplace. So dealing with those risks requires the new approaches and new technologies. And so each year we do make mindful and very intentional updates to the framework. And so that's another area where we can iterate on that. But certainly, yeah, in the context of the data gymnasium, there's a support mechanism there. If you see something missing that would be useful to you, please absolutely leverage that feature. There's one other anonymous question here. So what is the difference between a lead and a regular team member within the platform? I'm not sure which of you would like to take that question.
I believe the difference is that leads control who has access to the projects. So because anyone who gets added to a project will have access to at least the collaborative sandpit, the project leads are the ones who will approve basically access to the different projects. And if someone has come in and wants to join a project that you're already running and asked to join, that request will go to the project lead.
Absolutely. I see a question in the chat here from Griselda. How do you cope with confidential information? So first of all, across all of our solutions, we have explicit data policies that are linked to that you can see when you're registering. These are generally compliant with the university's policies and best practices, and then have an added layer of kind of security and controls that relate to making sure that financial authorities are comfortable using this to express their own experimentation and their own anonymized or synthesized data. One thing I would point out, and I would ask, I think, Meta or Abhishek to chime in here as well, but one thing I would point out is that the platform is made for experimentation. At this point, it is not made for running a production solution with live data. So the users can leverage this platform to upload anonymized data. Our open code repository does include some libraries for anonymizing data sets. So running this against a transactional data set, for instance, will recognize, oh, this is a bank account number, this is somebody's name, this is somebody's phone number. And you can, before uploading it to the platform, anonymize all of these components, do a thorough check there as well. So we're a neutral platform for experimentation. The other component is that if there is a data set that's uploaded that's not compliant with those best practices or with our policies, users have the ability to flag those to our administrative team, and we will promptly action those accordingly. So really, it's up to the users of the platform to decide within their own contexts, here's what I'm comfortable putting into a collaborative project that might have multiple users. Here's what I'm comfortable putting into a private project where I, as a user or a team lead, am able to control access directly to that project. And here are things that I really don't feel comfortable putting anywhere outside of, my own computer sitting at my office in the agency's headquarters or wherever else. So yeah, this is the general approach to the data gymnasium in particular, but happy to elaborate if there's any follow-on questions to that as well. Yeah, Meta, I'm not sure if I covered everything there, if you'd add anything to that.
Yeah, Matt, you covered it kind of like the whole of it, but it's just that it's also like a sandbox aspect to it. So by default, the way it's created, it is secure. Our strategic partner is well versed in this market. So yeah, it follows all the requirements that it needs to make it secure as far as like a sandbox goes.
Great, thank you. There's another question here from Cristobal. Are there any costs to participate? Meta, maybe you can share some insights on this.
Yeah, so right now it's absolutely free. If you go to the website, you'll be able to register and access the platforms. Open code, open data, they are also free. They are also available on the website. In fact, all the tools that we have on there are free at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And oh, go ahead, Abhishek, sorry.
Only caveat and difference would be for Gymnasium, once you register, it will require admin approval because currently it's designed specifically for supervisors and financial authorities. So we're trying to ensure that private sector or any other sectors are not on the platform, and it's a secure environment just for the financial authorities and supervisors in particular. So there may be a wait after you log in and register before admin checks and make sure that you're from a financial authority before granting approval.
Absolutely. And I would add, right now this is in I would call it a public beta phase. Certainly we've got as many users in validation as Meta mentioned earlier. But for the moment, we're in kind of a public beta phase. The primary mechanism for people coming through the platform up until today has been through our practical data science and financial supervision program, our capacity building and education offering. And this gives training on how to use some of the notebooks that Abhishek has highlighted in his demo today. as we continue to iterate on the platform and add value to the offering, there are likely to be premium options that will be offered for a registration fee. But the open code, open data components will remain completely open, as Abhishek has demonstrated them earlier today, and whatnot as well. So as part of that initiative to kind of build out this larger integration of tools, there will likely be additional value add features that will be offered in a more freemium kind of way here. I see the second question in Cristobal's comment is that the particular agency is not a central bank, nor is it part of the BIS, and they're wondering if that's an obstacle. Meta, maybe you could take this one.
Yeah, right now we've opened it up only to financial authority members, but we are absolutely, let's get in touch after this session. Let us figure out what the need is here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this is coming from somebody who's with a financial authority that isn't a central bank. So absolutely, please fill out the questionnaire that was shared earlier in the session. And please, yeah, that'll be a great way of getting in touch, either that or through the email address, or other mechanisms that were shared earlier. There's one more question here from Laura. She would like to ask if she could use the Data Gymnasium to test a capstone project that was developed in the SoupTech Frontiers program, another capacity building offering from the lab. The project in particular focuses on NLP to extract information from PDF or Word documents, unstructured data into a more structured format. So maybe Abhishek, this is a good question for you since you've been helping to lead that side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is just to have continued access, right? Which I think currently we're more than happy to provide. So if you register, I don't see any reason why you should not be able to access the platform to complete your capstone project.
Yeah, that's right. And I think this is the Supervisory Frontiers program, so that tends to focus more on the paradigm shifts in the risks in the marketplace and the supervisory response to that. So I think this is actually like a perfect example. Within the course that we've linked here, we walk through examples of some technologies that can be used to extract data from either tables and PDFs or the text itself. And other modules that work on kind of processing the resulting data and summarizing it even. So that could be a great place to start. Those example notebooks are included as an integral part of the Data Gymnasium. It's some of the other ones beyond the complaints analysis that Abhishek highlighted. So certainly, yeah, if you're not already signed up on the platform, Laura, please certainly reach out to the team, access the link through the website, register, and we can get you set up there as well.
Yeah, no, sorry, Matt. I missed what you're trying to say. Yeah, we do have modules apart from the two that I demonstrated, where we have a module on extracting the data found in tables and PDFs and storing them in a framework for further quantitative analysis. And we have modules for summarizing and extracting the text within PDFs as well. And also some NLP modules for extracting entities within the PDFs, etc.
Great, thank you both. So there is one more anonymous question here in the Q&A. It looks like a similar question to what we just answered, but maybe a more specific component. So this is somebody who has already completed the SoupTech course, would like to gain access to the Data Gymnasium, and would like a brief overview of how the data sets in the Data Gym might help us create a tool focused on payments oversight. So I can answer briefly with one module that's part of the practical data science course, and as mentioned, then has a counterpart on the Data Gymnasium. Actually, there are a couple of notebooks that relate to analyzing large transactional data sets. One notebook that focuses on fraud detection within a payments data set, and another that focuses on suspicious transaction detection in the context of money laundering. So walking from very basic models of anomaly detection all the way through things like graph neural networks and really the state of the art in terms of anti-money laundering technologies. So yeah, I would absolutely say payments is one of the 13 supervisory areas in our current SupTech taxonomy. All of those resources that Abhishek walked through for consumer protection and complaints analysis are exactly available for payments use cases and anything else, prudential, compliance assistance, climate risk monitoring, things like this as well. So yeah, absolutely, there's a place for you there, and I would echo the recommendation that we gave to Laura, which is yeah, please register and we can get you set up there as well. Great. So it looks like we've cleared all of the questions. We'll wait maybe another minute here to see if anybody else has thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. So Cristobal has asked here if we mind sending form and documentation. There will be an email following this session that will include a recording of the session so that you have access to this. You can review it at your own leisure. If there was a slide that we went through too quickly or something that you didn't quite catch in full, you'll be able to review that as well. Feel free to share that link with any of your colleagues or anybody in your networks that you think would find value from this conversation. And it will include also a link to the questionnaire, which is a really important way of getting feedback for us, and instructions on how you might register for these platform for the Data Gymnasium platform as well. Yeah, so please look forward to that, not just Cristobal, but everybody who's joined today and registered for the session. So great. With that, I think we can start to wrap up. I really, really want to thank both Meta and Abhishek, not just for their leadership on the call here today, but really for the leadership in developing this platform in collaboration with partnership with Naya One for this value proposition validation. It's been a tremendous and exciting journey of engaging with a lot of financial authorities to understand all of your needs, to incorporate that in an iterative manner and a lean product fashion. And we look forward to continuing to do that now with a larger audience, a larger user base. Those of you on this call, your teams, your friends, please be sure to register interest, and we'll continue working with you to make sure that our Data Gymnasium, our 7 other formal digital tools, and ultimately our super platform are tailored really tightly to meet all of your needs and to facilitate innovation and SupTech adoption within each of your own contexts. So thank you so much, Meta, Abhishek. Thank you to Elia for helping to coordinate today's conversation. And please let this be the beginning of a conversation and not the end. And we'll look forward to hearing from you all as we continue forward. Thank you so much.